Good morning, everybody.
And you're up again.
Morning.
Okay, did we start?
And I just said, I don't have to think of something you said when I get up and walk out.
We have to wait for everyone to park. Find a space.
Stop the development down here.
Okay, so now, you're on there.
Good morning.
I'm gonna call the meeting to order. And let's rise. We're gonna have our two first selectmen, Mr. St. John and Mr. Long, lead us in the pledge. Join please.
Thank you.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United
United
States
States
of
of
America,
America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, so we have a guest speaker, Lori Martin, Havens Harvest. Lori.
Yes, thank you.
Bon dia.
Thank you for the opportunity to be here. I want to start by reframing how we think about excess food. In the past, it has been considered charity work, but in fact, it's around public infrastructure. That's right. So from the reason that we're considering moving the excess foods from charity to infrastructure is because it does belong in a planning situation in the ways that we think about transportation and energy and waste. And okay, here, I'm gonna move on, Desiree, please. The scale of the problem, obviously, is that we have lots of food that's going to waste in our state while we still have people experiencing food insecurity, but also that it contributes to greenhouse gases and other, emissions that we can avoid when we're recovering food. It supports municipal budgets as well because it reduces shipping fees when we're moving food, particularly from schools and other municipal places. But also, we know that aside from the food not going to waste, also it feeds families. That's right, that's right. So the opportunity to divert edible food and food recovery focuses on perishable food, which is different than what food banks do. Food banks, what their goal is to feed communities, whatever it is. Connecticut Food Bank does a great job of that here in the state. And there's still a gap, though, in the food, obviously, that's still going to waste, and about 22% of the waste in the waste stream from Connecticut is organics, and a portion of that is edible food. What Connecticut Deep has said, Cheryl Baldwin has said this in some public presentations over the last year, is that we're only capturing 5 to 10% of edible food from the waste stream. So we have a good percentage of time, of space to do more work in the state so that we keep that food in the system, as opposed to incinerating it here or sending it out of state to be incinerated. So when we think about leftover food just as charity, it doesn't get valued. The food itself doesn't get valued and the work doesn't get valued. And so then it doesn't happen. And it's not that food people don't care necessarily about the food, but when it doesn't get valued, it just it slips through the cracks. And our nonprofit partners who do some of this food recovery, small churches or nonprofits, often don't have the capacity to pick up the food. And so what will happen is the pantry regularly, obviously use Panera, for instance, regularly goes to Panera a few days a week. If they've got enough donations, and so they're set for their Saturday food bank, they won't, especially if someone is sick and they don't have capacity to it, they simply won't go pick up that food because, they're stretched already. And food recovery organizations around the country really focus on that. I mean, my goal and our goal for our mission of St. Stephen's Harvest is to make sure that the food doesn't go to waste, which is different than we make sure it doesn't go to waste and we make sure people get fed. So we don't have a food bank or pantry ourselves. We support over 400 nonprofits, largely in the greater New Haven area, but also we have more than 40 partners here in the Valley and in Waterbury. We have had some contact with the city of Waterbury, which we're grateful for. And we got a big bread project, bakery warehouse project in Naugatuck at the former Fry Harvest plant. They closed their thrift store. You get anywhere between 5,000 and 10,000 pounds per week. But in fact, about a month ago or 6 weeks ago, State Rep Ron Napoli came to visit us. And that day was the most we'd ever seen. It was about 13,000 pounds. We actually couldn't get it all. We shared out about half or so, but we don't have enough, simply actually public infrastructure monies. We have one person on staff. We don't have any vehicles. And so we do use a lot of volunteer support. Sometimes it's throughout the organizations that come and pick up the food, and then others it's volunteers in the community to move the food. But we still had to leave 6,000 pounds behind. Some, I think, went to farmers. We work on that, but some still went to waste. So the other part thank you. The food recovery is sustainable management. I've been involved in this work for about a decade. I didn't quite understand all the food that was left over. It was actually an idea of my son's to pick up food from Trader Joe's because he had friends who had been dumpster diving. He thought it'd be a good idea to support them move food into the community without having to go into the dumpster. But over the years, we really see that there is food everywhere after events, at the golf course places, at other institutions that have events. And in addition to, Home Depot and the corner stores, they actually do have a lot of food. And so once we're trying to figure out, and create these systems of moving that food, keeping the food in the community, it's been really powerful work. We just hit a major milestone of 10 million pounds recovered back in January, and this year we're on track to recover more than 2 million. We also have gotten verified now for project credits for Brightly, which has been a great milestone also for us because we've been talking about this as environmental work for about 8 years or so. Next slide. So here's our proof of concept. We talked about the carbon prevented and also the reduced retail value of the food. So we use the reduced retail value, which is akin to what food, there are some other apps on reduced food in the grocery stores they're using. And one of the ways our work is distributed is that because we don't have our pantry ourselves, we're able to bring food exactly to other nonprofits. So it does go to 60 pantry, and it also goes to other places like daycare centers and adult ed and public schools and subsidized housing and sometimes clinics as well. That's too bad. Next one, thanks. So why does it matter? I mean, we just jumped in. We've had a few partners in the valley, prior to a year and a half ago when that store closed. I mean, on Naugatuck Avenue, Naugatuck. And then once we got there and saw how much food, we just quickly made some friends, lots of calls. And then one after another, we ended up with a few dozen places in a couple of weeks so that the food doesn't go to waste. When we're looking at this, we don't think about municipal lines and boundaries. We think about who's the closest food recipients, who are the potential partners that can accept the food. We're not hauling this food back to New Haven if we can avoid it. And it does strengthen the other goals around sustainable materials management, and obviously the local food systems. So we talked about what we needed for food recovery. We need communications and utilities that includes tech and transportation, and that we're still working on. We have gotten a planning grant through the Community Investment Fund to create a food recovery hub in New Haven. And actually, that's still in the works. And when we think about that, and other people have discussed, is that we also need food recovery hubs in other parts. So we also, I can see Waterbury as being one, and we also work out in New London and in Middletown, Cromwell, and sometimes in Hartford. And partly what that is in order, because we focus on perishable food, in order to keep that food still good, we need cold storage. So we need a place that's easily accessible, just to buy us some more time before we can get it into the community. Okay, Desiree, next one. So some of the things that people are concerned about are around liability, and we have updated on the federal level, the liability protections law, the food donation law, that was in 2022. And there are permanent enhanced tax deductions for donors. And we have a small grant from the USDA to create a webinar, which we'll do in the first part of 2026, to have our for-profit organizations learn how to access that. Some people that has seemed too prohibitive, but we've got a CPA and an attorney to help us make that pretty accessible to our small donors. And then obviously the zero food waste goals and the possibilities for funding for this. I will say around what's been interesting, actually, just talking about the funding piece, or at least the tax credit piece, is when we have started partnering with small markets, people think at first like they don't have that much. And in fact, there's one small market that has said over 5 years, we don't really have anything that goes to waste. But then I said, well, perhaps we could try. So we went back 3 times. The third time we said, okay, maybe we can try it. We'll put out a box and figure that out. Well, in fact, it's always 2 or 3 boxes 2 times a week. And it's a pretty small market. And the food goes around the corner less than a mile to a daycare center. And that daycare center has said that their families have been fed. This was started right before the pandemic, that they have been fed really well because of that. It's an easy way to get families access to food, is that we bring it right to them. And that's a model that works well because it partly destigmatizes where you get food. And in fact, we have figured out that people won't necessarily go to a soup kitchen or a food bank. But if the food is accessible there, on the table in the school or the daycare center or the clinic or other places, people will take the food. And so again, it doesn't go to waste. In our work and across the country, we're part of 2 other food recovery coalitions. We really try to right size the donation. So if they only have a small refrigerator, largely we're going to give them a smaller donation, unless it's bread. Bread can sit out on the table, that's a good match. And so we right size the timing of the donation and the amount, and then the size, the approximate size that we expect for donations. But it's a good fit, so it doesn't become a burden on our nonprofit partners, and then it doesn't go to waste. So we have a goal for the state to have a zero food waste state by 2030. For the return on investment is significant. We run a pretty lean organization. Obviously the food is donated, and we use some volunteers, but we're moving into a hybrid model of some staff doing it as well. We are soon getting an electric refrigerated van donated by Whole Foods. That's actually in the works, and we should be getting it by end of year. And it's important that we start moving the food recovery into the space of sustainable materials management and out of the space of charity. So we're just not leaving it to, when people might have capacity. In fact, the food has good value, and we should take, good stock of that and then take care of it. Okay, thanks. So one of the things that we're talking to you all about is to bring food recovery into the conversation for regional plans. You know, every aspect of things that like waste touches food and schools touch food. In fact, we do take food and move it around to, from schools in the, not actually up here, but in New Haven we do, and in the New Haven area, so that we still keep the excess school food in sort of in circulation and not let it go to waste. Obviously, we talked a bit about the shared infrastructure. When we think about food, we think about creating those hubs probably in our big cities, so that we can keep the food moving around it, and it just buys us more time. And for councils of government to be considering working with places and folks like ours. We're not the only ones, Haven Farms is not the only, in Fairfield County, there's Food Rescue US, and they've been at it for about 15 years as well. So what can we do? I mean, that's sort of the proposal, is how you councils of government want to work with food recovery in this space so that food doesn't go to waste. We have one more. And this is our information. I actually have cards as well. And I guess I'm trying to wrap it up for any questions you might have.
I'll just start off very interesting, very logical, makes perfect sense.
Sorry, I can't hear.
So, very logical, makes perfect sense. Rick, Christine, how are we looking at this right now from a COG standpoint?
Yeah, I mean, it's the type of thing that we'll consider as we put together the sustainable materials management plan for the region. This will be one of the things that we look at as part of the plan. We're just ramping up. We've just reorganized and have not quite completed the study
Right.
or the full project of the establishing a regional waste authority. We have a couple of subgroups of communities that are in different resource recovery organizations, but our goal is to create a single organization. Hopefully, the funding comes through from the state. We are going to be in a difficult spot if they don't provide funding for a resource recovery position to run the regional waste authority. So, but yeah, absolutely on our radar, and something that we're thinking about all the time.
And Christine's gonna incorporate this into our plans, is that what I'm hearing?
Absolutely, yeah, when we get there, I'm gonna be bugging Lori a lot, so.
Okay. All right, any questions from the group? All right, we will, thank you very much, very interesting.
One more thing, I just
Yep.
wanted to invite anyone who would like to see sort of what like a big food recovery situation seems like. We don't always do it this way, but we are working on Naugatuck Avenue in Naugatuck at that former Freihofer's thrift store. We do that on Monday and Thursday mornings, and if anyone wants to come see, like, what does that look like? That's just one of our projects. I'd be glad to meet you all there, and meet anyone there, just so we can see how it's being run, who it's getting to.
Right.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, so, we're gonna go to introduction of new staff.
I need to call the roll.
Okay, Rick, call the roll.
Okay. All right, does it have the full up for me now? I just want to see if anyone else joined before I. Okay, start with City of Ansonia. I believe today we're joined online by Sheila O'Malley in place of Mayor Cassetti.
Here,
Thank you, Sheila. Has First Selectman Smith from Beacon Falls joined us? Online? Yeah. Online, we have from the town of Bethlehem for First Selectman Sorty.
Here.
Thank you. City of Bristol, Mayor Caggiano.
Present.
Thank you. From the town of Cheshire, we have Assistant Town Manager Andrew Martelli. Here. Thank you, sir. Online from the city of Derby, we should have Mayor DiMartino.
Here.
Thank you. From the town of Middlebury, First Selectman St. John. Here. From the borough of Naugatuck, Mayor Hess.
Sure.
Town of Oxford, First Selectman Temple. Here. Thank you, sir. From the town of Plymouth, Mayor Kilduff. Here. Thank you. We don't have anyone from the town of Prospect today. From the town of Seymour.
It's on now.
No. No, okay, I'm sorry, thought I heard. I don't believe Mayor Larrity is coming today, but he will,
Right there, yeah.
he may surprise me.
You did.
Yeah, Mike?
Why would you ever be surprised?
I'm always surprised. Wow.
After 40 years, why would you be surprised?
The first time you've ever been online.
I've never seen him.
Never.
Never, never.
All right, I apologize to the mayor of Shelton.
There's nothing like being here in the flesh, I'll tell you.
All right, from the town of Southbury, First Selectman Manville.
Here.
Thank you, sir. From the town of Thomaston, First Selectman Moan.
Present.
From the city of Waterbury, Mayor Pernaruski.
Here.
Thank you. Is anyone on from the town of Watertown? I don't believe so. I don't want to be wrong again. From the town of Wolcott, Mayor Dunn.
Here.
And, online from the town of Woodbury, First Selectwoman Perkinson.
Here.
Is with us. Thank you, Barbara. We're also joined today, Mr. Chairman, by, let's see if I can get everyone correctly. Barbara Kowalski from New England Transportation is online. Also Daniel Davis from Eversource is in the room with us. Ellen Graham from Senator Blumenthal's office is online, along with, Kiri, I'm gonna mess up this name, Abrosio, from Senator Blumenthal's office. In addition, Jim Nardozzi, from the Waterbury Development Corp is here online. We have Matthew Abbott, who's our field contact for, Connecticut Department of Transportation is online. Hello, Matthew. Meg Hafner from the Kennedy Collective is also joining us, as well as, Tyja Anderson from Governor Lamont's office is also on the line. I think I got everyone. Did I miss anyone? Did I miss any guests? We're good. You have a quorum of both bodies, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. All right, let's go to Savannah and Richard. We have some introductions.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman and Board. It's nice to see you today. I would like to introduce you to our new senior community planner, Lana Harrison. Lana lives in New Haven. She has a master's in urban planning from Hunter College, and she comes from CCOG and was in communications before that. So Lana will be helping us with a variety of projects in the community planning division.
Welcome. Welcome.
And then joining the mapping gaming technology department is Tim Nolan. He's from West Hartford, and I was giving him an opportunity to speak.
Hi, folks. I'm Tim. I'm a computational neuroscientist by training, which is just a fancy way of saying I do math and computer science to study the brain. But I'm making my way into public policy these days. Anything machine learning, AI, any questions, direct them my way. Thank you.
Welcome.
Thank you, Tim.
All right. Let's go to public comments. Is there anyone that would like to address the COG this morning? Anyone in the room? Anyone online?
We received no advance requests.
Okay, then we'll go to our CNVMPO meeting, 2025-28 tip amendments. Rich?
Morning, thank you. So there is one requested amendment to the 25-28 tip for today. It is for project 107-181. And so this project is the first two phases of the design. Will eventually be the permanent structure replacement for one of the temporary structures installed after the flooding last summer. So this the temporary bridge right now is located on Route 34. It crosses 8 Mile Brook in Oxford. Has been in place since August of last year. And so this project will cover, or this amendment covers the first two phases, preliminary and final design for the permanent structure that will go into that location. A future amendment or an entry into the next tip will cover the construction phase when that time comes.
Okay,
Move said amendment. Project 10107-10181.
have a second?
Oh,
Second.
Okay, any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Rich?
Thank you again. So this one does not require any action today, but just serves as an update. So the tip itself, the Transportation Improvement Program, is a fiscally constrained 4-year listing of any project that is to receive federal assistance in our region. So we typically follow a schedule where we've updated this document every 3 years, so there's a year of time in between in case any issues arise during the adoption process or approval by Federal Highway Administration or Federal Transit Administration. For the last cycle, we cut that really close. We adopted it in the spring of the year in which it needed to be in effect by October. And so in this cycle, we have returned to a 3-year update. This schedule will hopefully also reduce the total number of amendments that need to happen as more projects can be accurately represented in the TIP document itself at adoption. So up here on the screen, you'll see the schedule for the new TIP public engagement and adoption timeline. The current full list of projects that will be included has been returned to CONDOT and is currently undergoing air quality conformity modeling. As we cover several air quality non-attainment or maintenance areas, we have to model every project to ensure that we don't do anything that's going to make emissions from the transportation system worse. So that process will take a number of months on the CONDOT level, but in the meantime, we will be getting ready for public engagement and completing the new narrative that goes along with the TIP. We anticipate all of the projects are going to be uploaded into Eco Interactive and made available for individual project comments in the next month and a half or so. We've been working closely with the statewide TIP unit at CONDOT to make sure that these are uploaded and given complete bits of information so that they exist online in the platform that we use to share this information. At the same time, our staff will be working on the update to the narrative. The narrative is not necessarily interesting, but it is something that we are required to do. It mostly contains the processes by which we determine the projects that go in, how they impact the federal transportation planning factors and performance measures, the processes for which they get amended, and then the agreements that exist between us and CONDOT to authorize this process. When we get into January, we will be releasing that narrative, which will include the full project list for public comment and review. We will, at the TTAC meeting in February, have an opportunity for public comment, as well as ask the Technical Advisory Committee to review the document and make any recommendations. We will hold a public meeting also during February of 26 about both the TIP document itself, the project listing, and the air quality conformity determination. And then at our regularly scheduled March 20th meeting, we will be asking the CNVMPO to adopt that new TIP. Assuming everything works out, that new document will take place as the formal transportation improvement program for the region on October 1st of 26. But we do have until October 1st of 27 or the start of federal fiscal year 2028 in case there is a delay in that process. So like I said, no action today. Just wanted to go through this timeline so that you were all aware that this is upcoming. For the 4 lower valley towns who are part of the greater Bridgeport and Valley MPO, a similar timeline will be followed. We have been and will continue to work closely with Connecticut MetroCog on the narrative and project listing and public engagement phase for that TIP.
All right, any questions for Rich? Seems to me like you have it under control, so I'm good.
We like to pretend we do, yeah.
All right, let's go to the minutes, and I'm gonna look to Thomas then.
Yeah, you usually do you not? Move the minutes of September 19th, 2025. CNVMPO and the NVCOGC. Second.
What am I gonna do without you, buddy?
I don't know, we gotta start looking at that be done, don't we?
We hope so. All right, any questions or concerns on the minutes? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Financial report, Michael.
Thank you. So this is the financial report that went out earlier this week. It is for the period ending August 31st. It's 2 months or 16% through the year. Currently, we're at about 13% budget to actual, which is a little bit lower than the target as we planned the budget included a full staffing plan since July 1, but we just started hiring the new positions. Nevertheless, our net position is 227,000, which at the beginning of the year is always a little inflated due to the unrestricted general fund is over $1 million, 3.7 in the third, and we're running below target on our GMA expenses. Other than that, there haven't been any unexpected funding cuts. We're still pending 2 grants from the OPM RPIA account. It's about 400K. And then, some fee for service contracts that are pending right now. Other than that, we are still waiting for our NOAA federal fiscal year 2 funds to be released. Which is technically the 3rd year in the actual project budget. About the 10.7 million. They were supposed to be released this past April, but Rick will go more into that in his direction.
All right, questions? I'll entertain a motion to accept the report.
So moved.
We have a second from
Second.
Middlebury.
Perfect.
Yeah, Pete.
See?
Working on
That's okay. That's pointing at him.
that total confidence is very low.
So do I.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
Thank you.
All right, Rick,
Yes,
Director's report.
okay.
We want a complete analysis on item 1.
So, thank you, Mr. Chairman. I listed a few things when we set the agenda, not knowing exactly what the real world conditions would be today. But, I did want to talk to you about a few things, particularly on the federal shutdown. How that may or may not affect us, and then I'll talk a little bit about, whether what we were expecting to be a special session of the legislature for the housing issue generally. And then briefly over the executive committee agenda, and then the K-Town dam update. So first with federal funding. So I want everyone to be clear and feel comfortable. The shutdown doesn't hurt us directly in terms of our programmatic work. So the majority of the funding that we receive from the federal government that we rely on in our regular budget is in place. Highway trust fund dollars are not supposed to be subject to the shutdown. So, and well, in 3 prior shutdowns, it has not been an issue. They're not appropriated dollars, so they're available and they continue to flow. So CONDOT holds that position. We agree with that. So we're not really worried about that. The problem with the shutdown are the project-based things that we don't have direct access to the funds. Meaning we have to go through a process to request a release of funds from federal agencies. And if there's no one at the federal agency to release the funds, then that's a problem. So Michael had referred earlier to K-Town Dam, which I'll speak about separately later, but I'll talk about the money. So we have a federal grant of $15 million from NOAA. NOAA is part of the Commerce Department, as most of you know. And those dollars never got released in year 3. So federal fiscal year 25, which just ended, our request was not released by the time the government went into shutdown. And that federal fiscal year has ended. So the way it works out in the federal 23, we had about $2 million come in for the project. In federal 24, we had about $2.3 million come in. We had a request pending for $2.1 million for federal 25. And then in federal 26, the balance of the funds would have come in at that point. So what we're doing right now is we're working on getting the $2.1 million from federal 25 released, as well as the balance of $8.6 million for the full project. I don't want to get into too much detail, but the IJA funds are eligible for extension beyond the first 3 years for another 2 years for a total of 5. But we're not allowed under the law to apply for the extension until all the funds have been obligated. Or all the funds we're asking to be extended or obligated. So we're working on this. We're talking with all of our contacts at the federal level. We've had a great deal of support from the delegation on this, but we're trying to work within the administration and bring in various parties that would be helpful to us in this regard with this particular project. But right now, it's not impacting our ability to do anything. We may have to accelerate some of the expenditures of state funds that we have, depending on how long the shutdown goes on. And if for some reason it ends up in that pile of projects that are contracted, funded, approved, but the administration decides they don't want to release the funds, we'll deal with that when that day comes. But we have contingency plans, we have backup plans. I'll skip right to item 4 because the Kinneytown Dam update, because in the midst of all this, the Connecticut Brownfields Land Bank took possession of all the assets of Kinneytown Hydro Project Inc. Last Friday. So we haven't done any publicity on it, just notified the members of the Connecticut Brownfields Land Bank Board early this week that everything is done. So acquired all the assets of the federally regulated project for $1. So that's where we're at with that. But we control the site. The land bank controls the site, and we'll operate under the MOA that we have between the Connecticut Brownfields Land Bank and NVCOGCT. But the land bank holds a liability. The land bank is responsible for the filings. The land bank is responsible for managing it. The NVCOG staff provides that capacity to do that work and is the fiduciary managing most of the grants, at least the federal grants at this point. So that, I mean, that was great news. I know that was kind of a downer after talking about the funding stream, but this is a huge step for us on this project and really will allow us to kick it into high gear. Just to close the loop on funding, we also have over $6 million of DECD brownfields funding for this project. We have EPA is already $1.5 million into the investigation of the site out of their pocket. We have another $3.5 million of congressionally directed spending that the delegation had lined up for the sanitary sewer work that has to go first in Seymour before the dam can be removed. So that together with the 25 million that the state has allocated in bonding for this project, we'll start to draw that down, do the sanitary work, continue with the design work on the dam removal, and then tap the majority of the funds when the dam actually has to come down, which we're still saying 26, 27 to come down. So that's still our schedule. It hasn't changed. And we don't see any reason for it to change right now. So I want to bring you guys up to speed on that, answer any questions on that issue before we move on to item 2.
Yeah, no questions, just great step forward controlling the site, so great work by everyone. So any questions?
Do we have a question online?
That's what it sounded like.
No.
No. Okay. All right. With that, I'm just gonna go on to item 2, which I've listed as the General Assembly special session. As I'm sure we're all aware, the governor has not called a special session for the housing bill yet. I have no idea whether it's going to happen or not, but I just wanted to update you insofar as it affects our planning and our budget and our policy setting. So on the housing plan, we continue to develop policy positions for this region. And we'll discuss it more at the executive board meeting next week. But it's a continuation of our commitment to a regional approach to trying to get both affordable housing and market rate housing built, focusing around our transit infrastructure and how to build the largest number of units as quickly as possible and as efficiently as possible. So that's, we really haven't changed our position there. The one thing that did happen in the bill that got vetoed, there was money for COGS to do 3 things. One is to run the Regional Waste Authority, do that work. The second one is to do the floodplain management work. And the third is additional housing capacity, housing planning capacity. So as you're all aware, we moved forward with setting up these positions in community planning a long time ago. We have staff assigned to solid waste and recycling, but not staff that can permanently run the organization, a new organization. So we're hopeful that whether it's a special session or it's taken up in the short session next year, that funding item will remain. Now, as it pertains to us, we adopted a budget that did include an estimated amount of money. We have an org chart that includes those positions. We haven't filled the positions. We haven't funded anything. It's no impact to our budget. And if if the money comes through this year, we can move forward. And if for some reason it doesn't come through at all, we just will be down the capacity. We won't have overspent anything. We won't spend money we don't have. So, we'll know if there's a special session or not, and then we'll have another discussion at the executive committee. Executive committee agenda, last time, this is the longest director's report I think I've ever given. Just wanted to let you know that what we're gonna be talking about, really, scheduling things, the typical things for next year. We're gonna talk about the process for the audit committee, which is the executive committee, it sits as the audit committee. Michael has to go through a procurement process or extension process coming up. We need to talk about that. We'll talk about the legislative special session if there is one, and policy around that. We're gonna talk about the economic development district. I want to thank all of you who made time to get to the kickoff for the new federal economic development district. Our funding, by the way, did come through for that from the federal government, and we're up and running. Mark and Drew and Craig have been working very hard at standing that up. Jim Nardozzi, I have to give a special salute to, who's really taken the lead on this and is helping us to organize the communities around this. We really want to make this an important factor for all of you in regional economic development and make line up opportunities for funding when you all have projects that can be satisfied by that. So we want to do a better job with that going forward. So we'll talk a little more about that and talk about you're all making appointments to the strategic advisory board, which is every town. But we need to talk about formally appointing sort of an executive committee and operating committee for that. And then that's really it. My performance review is also on the agenda, but we can talk about that. And with that, Mr. Chairman, that's my report. I'm happy to take any other questions.
Questions for Rick? All right.
Thank you.
Easy here. Hearing none, we'll go to Brownfields, Ricardo.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So we recently had a brownfield fund solicitation for project that closed out, which, NVCOG and Connecticut Development Land Bank were accepting applications. We received over 5 assessment applications. And we will be scheduling an RVP and a land bank meeting to select new assessment projects. But outside of that, all active assessment RLF projects are moving along swiftly. We're still waiting to hear back from DECD on the 3 pending applications. We should hear hopefully before Thanksgiving on that, so we'll keep you updated on that. However, I quickly wanted to highlight 2 active projects that have made tremendous progress within the last month. On the left-hand side of the screen, you'll see 113 Canal Street. This is part of the 113 and 125 Canal Street project. NVCOGCT has assisted the city in securing both DC and EPA cleanup funds. End use for both sites would be 30 plus apartments for 113 and around 90 apartments for 125, of which both will include somewhere close to 10% of affordable housing. So there's also going to be around 1,700 square feet of commercial ground level, so that's awesome. On the right-hand side, you'll see 281 Canal Street, Shelton. The developer for this received an RLF loan in which they tackled all the remediation, so that has been completed. The redevelopment for this one is 100+ units for that site. Next slide. So if you would like to take advantage of these multiple brownfield funding sources for your projects, please do not hesitate to contact us. And even though it's not really yet confirmed, we anticipate DC opening up the next funding round in February of 2026. As a quick reminder to the board, it's a minimum of 100,000, a max of 200,000 per assessment. Cleanup is a minimum of 200,000 with a new max of 6 million. It used to be 4 million. We also have EPA funding available. There is no minimum for these, but a max of 1 million for the loans. And friendly reminder, 0% for 24 to 36 months. If it goes outside of those, the RLF board has to put a 4% rate on those. Next slide. And lastly, wanted to let everyone know that EPA has reached out to NVCOGCT to assist the city of Shelton in their most recent devastating fire.
Torrington.
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 Or, I'm sorry.
Same difference.
Torrington.
It was an industrial
What?
fire. Pretty good guess.
Yeah, the industrial fire, so we had a site walk yesterday. We had 10 LEPs on site. We anticipate having their bids within the next 2 weeks, and we will be connecting with the RVP board to select a firm for that. The goal here is collecting data on the piles, and rubble, soil, groundwater, get that to EPA. And hopefully their emergency response team to effort to move all the whole for them. Next slide. That's all I have. Thank you.
Before you go to Inez, I just, one thing I forgot, about the executive committee session for next week. You've all gotten the notices of an executive committee meeting. We are trying to schedule an RLF committee meeting for those of you who are on the revolving loan committee.
Same day.
Same day, just earlier, about 45 minutes before. Just let us know if you're on the RLF loan committee, please let us know if you cannot make that, because we need to schedule a different day. But we'd like to try and pull it together since there's overlap with the executive board. Sorry.
Okay, annual regional brownfield meeting, Inez?
Mr. Chair, we are excited to invite everybody to the 2025 annual meeting of the Regional Brownfield Assessment that will take place on Thursday, December 11th, from 2 to 5 p.m. at the Clocktown Brewing Company in Thomaston. This will be a really great opportunity to come and learn what the RVP has accomplished this year and to network with other brownfield enthusiasts across the state. Registration is required, and you can register today by scanning the QR code on the screen, and we've also provided a flyer in your packet with the QR code and a registration link. We will be sending direct invites to all member municipalities, and we would really encourage you to share this invite with your municipal staff, public and private stakeholders who might be interested in learning more about the services that we have to offer. With that, I'm happy to take any questions, and if you have any trouble with registering, please feel free to reach out to me and I will add your name.
All right, questions? Thank you, Inez. So Rick, you're in charge of municipal affairs this month?
I am. So Drew had filed in the package an emergency management update. I basically gave his economic development EDD update in the during my report already. So there's nothing really to add other than the towns that are still delinquent and executing their MOAs for reimbursement. Time is going to run out on the 4 towns from our region who have not done this.
I've been notified.
I have been notified. I think they all know who they are. But Drew's at the NATO conference today, but which is why he's not here. But as soon as he returns, he will be doing another follow-up with towns. But that money from 2021 and 2022 is no longer going to be available in a very short period of time if your MOA is not filed.
Okay.
Mhm.
So noted.
Thank you.
All right, mapping data technology, Richard.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. There's no action on this item, and it refers to the flyer in your agenda packet. On November 20th, we'll be reintroducing the mapping data and technology team to your municipal staff. A lot more detailed than I did last month for you. Look at that. Sorry. We'll be introducing our new staff, going over the services such as trail mapping and stormwater mapping, and helping prepare maps for grant applications, products like the new regional map viewer I discussed last month, and reviewing the partial CAMA data improvement grant we got from the state. The consultant working on that grant will speak discussing the work they've completed thus far, and we will also have the state of Connecticut's Geographic Information Officer, Alfredo Herrera. He will talk about what OBM it is coming up with data product wise, and also upcoming projects. We'll be sending an email out to your GIS staff, planners, assessors, grant writers, public works staff, and Parks and Rec staff next week with information on how to register to come in person and get the lunch or attend virtually. Also, you're all welcome to attend as well. Any questions?
Questions? All right, thank you, Richard. Savannah, community planning.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and good morning again. I just want to be sure that I'm speaking loud enough, so if anyone online can't hear me, just chat and I will amplify further. I have an update for you regarding the Regional Plan of Conservation and Development. No action is needed for you all on this item. We want to let you know that NVCOG is underway with phase 2 of the regional plan process. In this phase, we will be conducting regional and municipal action principle planning, starting in November with our staff and December broadly in the member municipalities. They're going to be rooted around those action principles you can see on the screen. And then I'm just going to ask that you take one flyer and pass it down. Mike, can you keep that, pass it that way as well? That you all have access to the action principles that have been approved by the steering committee and we have shared with you all in prior meetings. We're going to hold that first municipal meeting in December. And the first focus group is going to focus on the first action principle. The Naugatuck Valley region promotes sustainable housing development that includes a variety of options to meet the needs of the region on Tuesday, December 16th, 2025 in Cheshire. So please stay tuned for an invitation to that. We want to thank First Selectman Moan, First Selectman Manville, First Selectman Smith, and then Town Manager Martelli for allowing us to hold meetings in their communities. We are looking for one more partner in the Lower Valley to host a meeting in an afternoon. We kind of are anticipating around 50 to 100 people. So if you have a space or you think that that could happen, please reach out and let me know. If you and your staff are not participating in this process, there are still some members who do not have representatives that are participating. We strongly encourage you to nominate someone to serve on the steering committee. It is necessary that you have a representative at phase 2 of this process to ensure that your municipal priorities are included in this plan. The municipalities who are going to participate are going to have direct plans, policies, recommendations that your town, your borough, your city wants to see that align with our action principle goals. And that's only going to make your community stronger for grant money as we're seeing the state and federal funds shrink. And so for those communities who are not participating or haven't participated yet, this is really your on-ramp. We're going to follow up via email with some of this information. But if you haven't been sure or your members aren't attending, we kind of have a mixed bag in here. Wolcott's really attending well, Southbury's attending well, Naugatuck's attending well, Thomaston, Cheshire, generally always in the room. But for those who aren't, when we get to the end of this process and you see your peer municipalities have these really robust strategies that relate to projects in Cheshire, projects in Naugatuck, and you say, hey, where are my projects? If your staff don't participate or you don't have someone in the room, it's going to be a lot harder for our staff to think about what you directly need in our community. So we're calling you in, inviting you back to the table. If you have any questions, please give me a call. But we will be following up with our less participation communities via email. And thank you again to everyone who has had staff and has committed to this effort thus far.
Thank you.
Yes.
Comprehensive?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. Again, no action is needed for you from this update. We wanted to let you know that the town of Thomaston voted to adopt their plan of conservation and development on September 10th, and it became effective on October 1st. Our staff had the honor and the privilege to facilitate this planning process for the town. We polled the steering committee at the end of the process to gain feedback about how NVCOG staff did, and we found that participants strongly agreed that our staff are trusted as subject matter experts and have a high proficiency in effectively communicating technical concepts. Next slide, please. The committee, the community, and the youth were adequately involved in the planning process, and our staff treated the committee and the community with respect. That's a picture of us at the youth summit we hosted for 60 high schoolers in Thomaston. Next slide, please. And then participants strongly agreed that the planning process will increase their knowledge and the broader community's knowledge about planning in Thomaston. They felt that our recommendations were feasible and appropriate, and the town feels ownership over the plan. And the steering committee articulated that they do and they will support implementation of this effort. So we made champions out of those members on their steering committee. So our staff greatly enjoyed the opportunity to lead such an important planning process for the town. We thank First Selectman Moan for believing in us and giving us this opportunity. And we look forward to supporting other municipalities with these planning services. Next slide, please. Thank you so much. So NVCOG is capable and prepared to facilitate your next plan of conservation and development or your next affordable housing plan. We just want to let everyone know, if you're getting close to your adoption date, we're currently in talks with 2 communities to write both their POCD and their affordable housing plan. And there is a limit to the number of communities we can do this for at one time to do it in the way that we like to and to meet NVCOG standards. So should you want to discuss this further, or you're a year or 2 out, it's really the time to start having this conversation if we're a partner you potentially could engage in this work. So you can reach out to myself or Rick and I can take any questions.
All right, questions for Savannah?
Mr. Chair, if I can just comment, I want to thank the NVCOG for taking the comprehensive approach that they did in our planning process. For small towns like Thomaston, where you don't have your own town planners and such, they filled a major need for us in getting this project done. And as you can see, a very collaborative and community-minded perspective. So thank you once again, and I would urge any and all small towns who lack the kind of staff that a small town like Thomaston does to take advantage of what the councils of government offers in this area.
Well stated. All right, let's go to the housing coffee hour update. Dimitri.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and good morning. No action is required.
Stand by Desiree. So when the owls back there, not
Okay.
You stand like right here, just.
Right. Okay. That's a lot of pressure, right? All right, thank you, Mr. Chairman, and good morning. No action is required of you for this matter. This is just an update about a recent educational opportunity for municipal staff. On September 23rd, NVCOG hosted a webinar in partnership with the Department of Housing and the Connecticut chapter of the American Planning Association about the best practices for municipalities updating their CGS Section 830G Affordable Housing Appeals List. The event was registered with the American Planning Association to provide certification maintenance credits for AICP planners. The coffee hour was attended by town clerks, assessors, building officials, land use staff within and outside the NVCOG region. Of those who attended, 95% agreed that they were able to understand the content of the program. 88% agreed that the program increased their knowledge of the Affordable Housing Appeals List, and 94% agreed that this was a high-quality seminar, webinar. For those that were unable to attend, you can find the recording on NVCOG's education and resource page, or you can scan the QR code on the screen. And NVCOG will continue to be a resource for our region's municipalities by providing high-quality programming. Please be on the lookout for future educational opportunities. And as a gentle reminder, your Affordable Housing Appeals List is due this month, so that's part of it. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions? All good. Transportation planning, Rich.
Yeah, so we'll have Kevin start off with a lots of price increase or project cost increase.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good morning, everyone. So as Rich just said, this is a lots of cost increase for a Shrub Road in Bristol. We have these cost increases go in front of the board when the construction cost goes 20% or higher than the previously approved cost. The last approved cost was when this project was first put into the LOTSA program a couple of years ago. So a quick recap of the project. This is the installation of sidewalks along Shrub Road, stretching between Burlington Avenue, which is Route 69, all the way along Shrub Road down to Jerome Avenue at the east, and then a little bit south along Jerome Avenue as well. The cost increases are because inflation over time. Like I said, the project has been in the LOTSA program a couple of years ago, and inflation has been rampant since then. Additionally, there are now 4 retaining walls that are being built along Shrub Road, which need to be built to accommodate for the sidewalk. So the new project cost is around $3.1 million, and there's a recommended motion on the screen to approve the additional allocation of funds for this project, and I'll take any questions.
And just
So
a
moved.
note on that, TTAC did review and endorse this price change.
Yes, thank you.
So moved.
I'll second it.
Motion and a second, any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Safety action plan update.
Yeah, so as you all know, we've been working through the federal Safe Streets and Roads for All Award to develop a regional Vision Zero action plan. This plan is designed really to use the available data and our interactions with your members, or I'm sorry, with your police forces and public works directors and town and city engineers as you have them to gather the information and make a really data-driven report with a number of selected project options to move forward. So you're going to hear from Anthony about some of the crash data analysis work that has been completed already, identifying the crash hotspots here in the region. You'll hear from Nicole about the work we've done meeting with your towns, and then you'll hear from Kate about the Federal Highway Administration's proven safety countermeasures, which is ultimately the process we use to determine what these solutions are when we identify these problems. And just as a quick note for the sake of the recording, especially on the crash data analysis piece, any data that we develop or look at or use for planning purposes in this way is protected under Section 409 of Title 23. And so there's a lot more information about that if anybody has any questions, but it is all non-admissible in court proceedings if it is developed for planning purposes. And with that, I'll turn it over to Anthony to talk about some of the crash data analysis work.
Still digesting what you said. All right, Anthony, you gonna show us where the crash hotspots are?
Sure. Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you, Rich. My name is Anthony Lagana. I'm a transportation planner here at NVCOG, and I handle some of the quantitative and spatial analysis for this regional transportation safety action plan. The data we looked at was from January 2022 to December 2024, specifically the police reports that are hosted on UConn's crash data repository. Specifically, we looked at the serious and fatal crashes happening in our region. We looked at all the crashes, all 36,000 that happened between January 2022 and December 2024. But per federal guidelines, we wanted to focus on crashes that resulted in serious injuries or fatal injuries. So we developed crosstabs, tables, charts, graphs, and maps for all this data. And from that, we could see things like the circumstances of the crashes, people involved in the crashes, and the vehicles involved in the crashes. And I won't get too into the specific details for our meeting here, but I did want to go over just some of the things we're looking at. So for example, we're looking at the number of crashes and the persons involved. We saw about 592 serious and fatal crashes in total during that period I discussed. We saw a rise in 2022 during that tail end of the COVID period, a dip in 2023, and then a return to 2022 figures in 2024. In terms of actual fatal crashes, we have seen a decline since the COVID period in 2022, but we are seeing, I guess, stagnation in that regard. A total of 686 people were involved in these serious and fatal crashes. 85% of those were motorists, 15% were non-motorists. So of those, 107 motorists were killed and 29 non-motorists were killed. Next slide. And again, I just wanted to show an example of some of the things we're looking at without getting too in depth on the specifics. For example, we're looking at where exactly on the roads these types of crashes are happening. About 70% were outside of intersections, so things like non-junction crashes and through roadway crashes, so on straight segments of roadways and highways and expressways, as well as driveway access related. And about 30% were related to intersections. Functionally, all of those were T intersections and four-way intersections, since that's what we're mostly working with. We also know what types of roads they're happening on in terms of ownership. So half of them are on local roads, 38% are on state routes, 12% are on US routes or interstates. So the vast majority happening on local and state routes. And we also know what types of crashes are happening in terms of the actual contributing circumstances, which is that other table. So angle crashes make up about a quarter. So think of like a T-bone crash. 11% are head-on crashes, 10% are rear-end crashes, and 50% are crashes where it's only one vehicle involved essentially, in terms of starting circumstances. So we're seeing those start with collisions with pedestrians, with fixed objects like trees, traffic barriers and utility poles, and then a variety of other categories like falling cargo, rollovers, things of that nature. And it's not on the screen up there, but we're also looking at driver actions reported by police at the time of the reporting. So we're seeing a lot of people failing to stay in proper lanes, veering off roadways, reckless driving, negligent driving, distracted driving, as well as driving under the influence. Speeding was reported in about a third of the crashes, but for about a quarter, the speeding status was unknown. So you can kind of guess that speeding is really a contributing factor, but police aren't entirely sure what to report there. Next slide. And just to close out, we did also do a spatial analysis in terms of those actual locations within your communities that are very dangerous. To keep it brief, we did something pretty complex using GIS to weight crashes differently based on the severity of the crash itself. This is done so essentially if someone dies at a crash, it's weighted as more severe than if someone didn't die. So we essentially just assigned a severity score to each crash, and that was actually based on the monetary costs of each crash. And of course, we understand that the severity of each crash is much more than just the monetary impact. But this is the recommendation from the Federal Highway Administration. You can see some of the numbers we were working with. And based on those numbers, the fatal crashes are about 1,450 times more serious than, of course, the crashes with no apparent injury. That's kind of the framework we worked with. And from those scores, we looked at the highest concentrated areas with the most highly scored crashes. In terms of where those actually were, the vast majority were in local roads and intersections in Waterbury, Bristol, Derby, and Shelton. However, in other communities, while they were more spread out in terms of where the crashes were happening, we mostly saw them happening along state routes like Route 6, Route 8, Route 34, Route 72, and Route 229. So again, less concentrated, but still very dangerous. I just wanted to conclude all this by saying this is a regional plan with a regionally oriented analysis, but we could always replicate our methodology to identify the most severe locations in your individual communities. We recognize that each community has its own particularly dangerous areas that require context-sensitive solutions. Nicole will shortly speak about some of those kind of local issues we identified in the qualitative analysis and the interviews. But if you want analysis on those specific areas in your communities, please let us know. Otherwise, thank you, and let me know if you have any questions.
Or, yeah, I do. What do we do with this data?
In terms of,
Well, we have a lot of information. Are we gonna act on it? What?
Yeah, so I can answer that for you. So the purpose of this plan really is to figure out what are going to be the most effective actions in the short term. And so we're doing this work to identify the locations that have the highest risk for serious injury and fatal crashes. The next phase of this is to use these the Federal Highway Administration's proven countermeasures to identify the project and solution types that are best going to fit the crashes that are happening. So our long-term goal is to address the most dangerous locations first, and this plan will identify those spots with the proposed solution, and then work our way down the list over time to address the spots that have serious or fatal crashes, but at a lower frequency. So the number one thing that will come out of this plan is eligibility and the hopes that the Safe Streets and Roads for All program continues forward for implementation dollars for any of the projects identified. However, we will be using a combination of funding sources and planning tools over time to try and get these projects programmed into the capital plan one way or another.
Well, I guess follow-up is, are you going to address these issues to individual towns so that the mayor or first selectman can be made aware of it?
Yeah, absolutely. So part of our
pretty well know where the bad parts in our town are.
I think for the most part, the data is just supporting what you all know about your towns anyway. I don't think you'll be surprised by these locations. But the plan will be, as we come up with the most frequent crash locations and then propose solutions for those spots, to come back to all of you for the locations in your town share those ideas, talk through some of the options and what will or will not work in the context of your town, so that the final report includes a project that you would be willing to support.
All right, Nicole, you're gonna add to this?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chairman. So as Rick elaborated on, NVCOG was awarded USDOT funds through the Safe Streets and Roads for All grant program. So we are in the process of creating the safety action plan, and the draft is going to be provided to the TTAC, the December meeting. At this point, NVCOG has conducted 15 municipal interviews throughout the region, which is great. We've really enjoyed speaking with all the municipal staff. We've heard key themes throughout the process, such as speeding is a concern in every single interview that we've heard. Modified e-bikes, especially among younger populations, are becoming a concern. And of course, municipal specific intersections of the municipality. Surveys have been sent to the municipalities who haven't been able to schedule yet. So if that's an easier way for you to provide feedback, we're really looking forward to incorporating that into our plan. Project prioritization comes from the identified locations shown in the data, but also through the interview process. And as an aside to note, in the interviews, if there's outstanding concerns that can be acted upon immediately by the Department of Transportation of NVCOG, not state, us, we're able to address that immediately through something like a road safety audit or something that we can assist you with in the near term. Thank you. Any questions?
Questions?
I think it's important just to note here, this is where some of those things that don't show in the data are really coming out. You know, we use the example all the time of what used to be the exit 17 on ramp to Route 8 South. It is easily one of the most dangerous and non-functional locations in the roadway system in our region. However, everybody knows that. And because of that, it has almost no traffic volume. And so there's no crash history. And so this is really what we're looking for in these interviews. This is what we're hoping to gather. So we can propose solutions on these locations that aren't necessarily showing up as crash hotspots, but have these well-known safety problems.
All right, so we're gonna go to the countermeasures, Kate. I'm hopeful you're gonna mention roundabouts.
You'll be very pleased.
Good morning, and thank you, Mr. Chair. This update is for informational purposes. No action is needed. If you don't know me, my name is Kate Pipa, and I am a senior transportation planner here at NVCOG. I'm here to talk about the Federal Highway Administration's Proven Safety Countermeasures Initiative, which includes 28 strategies that have been shown to reduce roadway fatalities and serious injuries. There's some cards on the table that do show some of the countermeasures if you do want to take a look. They are designed for all road users and road types, and they target 4 key safety areas. So speed management, pedestrians and bicyclists, roadway departures, and intersections, with some cross-cutting strategies addressing multiple areas. So as Nicole mentioned, speeding came up as an issue in every interview that was conducted, and it's reflected in the crash data. The FHWA recommends 3 countermeasures for speed management: setting appropriate speed limits, using speed safety cameras, and implementing variable speed limits. So based on what we've been seeing locally, we would consider automated traffic enforcement safety devices, speed cameras in high-risk areas, and reevaluating speed limits where appropriate. So from Anthony's data that he presented, we know that 30% of serious and fatal crashes occurred at intersections, mostly T and 4-way types. There are 7 countermeasures for intersections, which include roundabouts, optimize yellow light timing to reduce red light running, and considering reduced left turn lane conflict intersections where angle crashes are frequent. These countermeasures reduce conflict points and improve visibility, directly addressing the roughly 25% of serious and fatal crashes that are angle related. So roadway departures accounted for over 1/3 of serious and fatal crashes. 6 countermeasures target this issue, such as high friction surface treatments to reduce skidding and loss of control, and enhance curb delineation with better signage and pavement markings. So non-motorists, pedestrians and bicyclists made up 15% of those involved in crashes from our 3-year crash data analysis. 8 countermeasures can focus on their safety, including medians, and pedestrian refuge islands to shorten crossing distances and improve safety, and installation of rectangular rapid flashing beacons to enhance pedestrian visibility at crosswalks, the implementation of road diets to reduce vehicle speeds and create safer environments, and adding dedicated bike lanes to provide protected space for cyclists. And then finally, we have the cross-cutting strategy, which can include lighting and road safety audits that can help address multiple safety concerns. All of these countermeasures align with the Safe Systems approach, which recognizes that human error is inevitable and aims to build layers of protection to prevent crashes and reduce their severity. So by integrating these proven strategies into our plans, and we will look at road types, crash patterns, average daily traffic volumes, and more, we can make meaningful progress toward our safety goals and our goal that was adopted here of reaching Vision Zero by 2060. Thank you, and I can take any questions.
All right, any questions? Are you gonna mention this roundabout lunch or?
Absolutely.
Yes, I will.
Okay,
So one of the proven safety measures is roundabouts. We know that Mayor Hess mentioned roundabouts at our last meeting, and we brought it up a lot at our Transportation Technical Advisory Committee. So we have decided to host a lunch and learn on roundabouts on Wednesday, November 12th here at NVCOG. The event will take place in person, but you are welcome to join online. If you're here in person, we'll have lunch starting at 11:30. So the presentation will begin at 12 if you do intend to join online. Q&A will follow, and we anticipate wrapping up by 1 p.m. We are thrilled to welcome Scott Bushy, who's our presenter. He's the Transportation Principal Engineer at CNVMPO, where he leads the State Highway Design Unit. He's been with CNVMPO for over 30 years and chairs several key committees, including the Highway Standards Committee, Complete Streets Committee, and the Roundabouts Committee. He'll cover the safety benefits of modern roundabouts, how pedestrians and cyclists use roundabouts, a review of different types of roundabouts, and critical design elements. So please join us. There are 20 spots available for in-person attendance. So if you're interested, please do sign up early. This is geared towards municipal staff, elected officials, engineers, and public works staff. And if you can't make it in person, you are welcome to join online as the presentation will begin at noon. So hope you'll join us for this informational session.
I have a roundabout comment.
What is it?
So before we
To
did
the point,
it,
would you? How roundabout is it?
I was told there was a study, and I think it's proven true in Naugatuck, that prior to doing a roundabout, 90+% were against it, and 2 years later, 80+% loved it. And I don't know, I'm not saying those are exact numbers, but they ring true. It's a very controversial topic when it comes up. And then when it's implemented, everyone loves it. Not everyone, but most people love it. So
What's
it's,
interesting, they proposed a roundabout in Southbury and that new construction exit 14. And I never could understand. It made sense. The state stopped it. And they did put it in because of the cost.
well, the cost.
Yeah, it's expensive. Well, if you're gonna put a price tag on on transportation safety, the state had designed a roundabout off the exit ramp from Danbury to Southbury and all that intersection. And at the last minute, they said it was too expensive and they cut it out. So I'm wondering what the story is here with the roundabouts.
The solutions for us is LOTSIP. Like, our roundabout is paid for by LOTSIP. And I can tell you now, I'll be, planning a second roundabout in Naugatuck, and looking to LOTSIP. And I think that's the best.
I agree.
The best remedy.
But first Selectman Manville is referring to a project that is a state facility.
Yeah.
Rich, you know the reason why that got squashed?
And not beyond.
I was told money.
I guarantee you they spent more in signals than they would have been in building the roundabout, unless there was a major acquisition.
Yeah, we'll have to, I'll look into it.
I mean,
further.
it is built, it's not gonna change,
Right.
but if the state and everybody is talking about, which I agree, if you travel in Europe. You know, we're just not used to it. You travel in Europe, it's quick.
Everywhere.
It's smooth if you, even if you're in a country where you're driving on the right and not the left and whatever it is. Once you get your head together, you're fine, and it moves traffic right along at a quicker rate, and that's exactly what they told us was. It was gonna be quicker, the state DOT said it was gonna be quicker for the state police to come out of their driveway. Turn right and go around the roundabout. And go the opposite direction. That's what the engineers said, but they didn't build it. Interesting.
Yeah, we've seen a lot of changing opinions about roundabouts at Condat as well. Even just a couple of years ago, there was a lot of controversy within the engineering department. And between the new chief engineer and Commissioner Ippolito's leadership on it, plus a lot of the additional research coming out of the Federal Highway Administration, they have really become more open to the idea in places where they may have previously been hesitant about it.
If you do have a crash, the angular incidents was much less. And the impact to your car is much less, and people get hurt less.
Yeah.
It's a brush instead of a bang.
Exactly, side swipe instead of T-bone.
Exactly. The federal data shows somewhere over an 80% reduction in fatal and serious injury crashes.
Takes a while to put
When a roundabout is installed in place of a T or four-way intersection.
Okay, let's go to the transportation guide, Kyle.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I will be speaking about the transportation guide to the greater Naugatuck Valley. No action is required. Though I need your assistance sometime later, I'll let you know. In October of 2023, exactly 2 years ago, we presented this guide to this board. If you recall, it was a resuscitation of a rested publication from our precursor agency, which was last published in October 1979, 46 years ago. Afterwards, we went out for public engagement to your offices, to our senior centers, and to our libraries. Part of the feedback we received from that engagement was input to this new edition that we are bringing to you today. We, in this new edition, incorporated information about the various transit districts that serve our municipalities, all 5 of them, their offices, their coverage areas, how to access their services, especially dial-a-ride and paratransit. We believe this information will be useful to our senior citizens as well as those who are disabled. In addition, in this new edition, we updated utilization rates from our commuter lots throughout the region, from data we go out to collect and we send to Conduct. Finally, we updated the bus schedule on CT Transit, especially as affects municipalities within the region, with specific emphasis on the CT 450X, which is the bus ride from Waterbury to Thomaston to Torrington, which has enhanced service times for Saturdays and Sundays. We believe this publication is our little effort to provide information to the visitors and residents of our region alike about the various modes and options they have to commuting within the region. At this point, I would like to crave your indulgence to use your good offices to kindly give this publication the widest reach possible. It is available on our website under current projects, transportation planning, as well as this QR code. At this point, with your kind permission, I would like to take questions.
Questions?
Thank you for listening.
Any questions? Okay, let's go to. I feel like calling for a standing ovation, Aaron, after Kinneytown, but let's go to environmental planning.
Oh, Christine.
Christine,
Yeah, Aaron had to leave.
Aaron had to leave, okay.
Well, apparently I skipped over Craig during the Economic Development District report, so I.
Let's bring Craig up
Do
here.
that, okay. I didn't realize Drew had arranged for Craig to make a presentation.
Your first mistake of the year, Rick.
It's not my first, won't be my last. trust me.
The federal year.
When are you getting evaluated again?
Next week.
Timing's perfect.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman and members of the board. Thank you for letting me come up and talk. And for those of you who don't know me, I'm Craig. As some refer to me as, I'm the damn guy. So this is good timing. We have been working, with the, gentleman, Jim Nardozzi, the president of the Waterbury Development, Corporation, on our economic development district. He has scheduled meetings with many of you sitting at the table. We've come out and we visited. The intention is to take our economic development district and to make it meaningful for all of you, and your communities, and as we go forward into the future. So we're trying to understand what it is you need. One of the things that you would see on the slide that's not up is a QR code that will allow you to go in and complete a survey telling us what we can be doing better to provide economic development support services for you. It is our hope that someday, if we work hard enough and put our nose to the grindstone, we'll be able to be as valuable to you in economic development as we currently are in brownfields, transportation, community planning, and environmental planning. So again, we're going to be having a meeting of the Strategic Advisory Board soon. And we are going to continue to do our work to get out there and meet with as many of the CEOs as we can. And I thank you again for letting me remind you about our economic development district. And thanks for your participation so far.
Thank you.
Sorry about that, Craig.
So let's go back to Christine.
Okay, just everybody shield your eyes. I don't want to give you motion sickness, but PowerPoint won't let me jump. So just had to shuffle through.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. We finally reached the end of this agenda. I'll go nice and quick, but we have a lot, like 5 different funding opportunities from DEEP right now. So very exciting. You have a lot of memos in your packet that have more detail about each of these programs. So at our last meeting, you heard in detail about the Open Space and Watershed Acquisition Grant, or OSWA, as well as the Urban Green and Community Garden Grant. So just a friendly reminder that these are both due on November 3rd. But as to not belabor the point, if you have any questions, I'm happy to take them, but these are the ones you heard about last time. For new opportunities, the Connecticut Deep Recreational Trails Grant Program has just opened for another round. Those are due on December 18th. All municipalities are eligible to apply. It's a highly competitive program, and many of you have participated in it before. It can really fund any phase of a trail project, from planning and design to construction and maintenance. We expect $10 million to be available for this, and towns do need to provide a 20% match, but that can include in-kind services. If you could go to the next slide, please. Thank you. Next, DEEP has announced a new round of the Climate Resilience Fund with $44 million available to support planning, project advancement, and matching funds for federal grants to build resilience against extreme weather. So it's a little bit complicated because of the several different tracks, but applications for the planning and advancement categories, which will probably be the most popular, are due January 15th, and they do not require a match. All municipalities are eligible. And then the last one here is the Long Island Sound Ecosystems Grant. That is due December 16th. I believe you'll be receiving a memo about it early next week. A project is eligible for this if it fits into one of 2 categories: habitat restoration or green stormwater infrastructure. So the funding is ideal for upgrading culverts or installing rain gardens, or helping you with one of our favorite topics, your MS4 objectives. So planning, design, and engineering awards will range from $100,000 to $500,000, and construction awards will range from $200,000 to $1.5 million. All NVCOG municipalities are eligible for most project types, but Ansonia, Shelton, and Derby have this further eligibility due to their proximity to Long Island Sound for some extra projects. Again, you'll get more details in the memo, which I believe is also in your packet. We'd be really happy to assist with any of these programs if you're interested in them, even if you just want to talk more. And we'll certainly provide you with the amazing mapping from our MDT team. We will write you support letters. Whatever you need, just let us know so we can support you in these grants. At this point, I'm happy to take any questions.
Questions for Christine?
Please.
Christine, we have a project that you're working on, a resiliency project. But we have another one coming would be eligible, even though we have one, to apply for another one?
Oh, yeah, you mean separate from the cemetery road project?
Yeah.
Absolutely. You would.
Yeah, we have
totally
another.
be- We're also kind of looking at the idea of, you're getting 30% plans for cemetery road. We're looking at the idea of advancing those to 100% plans, all 9 of those, to bundle them together for a regional application. But that would not impact Middlebury's individual
Okay,
eligibility.
thank you,
Absolutely.
Paul will be in touch with you on that.
Great, great.
But
I'm curious as to what progress we're making to drain Hogan's Pond. Is that something that's in your purview?
No, we,
Yeah.
pond, right? We're working.
No, yeah, but this, Hogan's Pond is in Seymour. But it's the bases where Little River overflowed and caused that flood damage a year ago. Basically, it's all silted over, so there's no reservoir to hold any water out of because there's so much silt in it. And I don't know whether I guess it's not in our purview to put that in, since we're in a different town than what we are, than Seymour.
So you're thinking it might be appropriate for like Climate Resilience Fund?
Yeah, that's
or-
what I'm thinking.
Okay, yeah, and I think that they love regional applications, so if you wanted to maybe partner with Seymour on that.
Okay.
We'd be, please reach out to me, be happy to discuss that.
Okay, good.
Great.
Thank you.
If I may, that conversation, Aaron was involved, so if you reach out Aaron, Aaron's the person who sent you the email for Selectman Temple. So he was
Okay.
our initial.
Thank you so much, I'll defer to Aaron.
Okay, anything for Christine?
Thank you.
Molly?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Last but not least, we have one more exciting opportunity for the region. The Environmental Planning Division is excited to host a green snow pro training on November 4th in partnership with Youth Fund T2 Center. It's an all-day training that focuses on sustainable snow management practices and fulfills both an MS4 requirement as well as earning viewpoints towards sustainable CT. The training course is offered for public works directors and staff like road foremen, crew leaders, and operators that practice snow management in their municipalities. And we strongly encourage municipalities to send at least one appropriate staff member to the training, especially the 7 municipalities who have not yet ever had someone attend this training in the past. And we ask that you please share the opportunity with your staff and encourage their participation. Registration will close October 28th. And I thank you for your consideration. And one more, there's flyers available on the table if you want to bring them with you.
How do we apply?
I can send you a registration link, but there's also the registration link for available for staff. Yep.
Questions?
Yeah.
Oh, they got All right, thank you.
It's on election day.
Yeah.
Double time.
All right, round table. Anyone want to bring up a topic before we adjourn?
I'd just like to wish you guys happy retirement, and wish everybody good luck that's in the election. Hopefully, we're all sitting back here at the table. I think this is a great organization. As we've seen today, all the information and the value, how valuable it is. So I'm hoping very much to be back here, but it's up to my voters. But everybody, thank you very much, and thank you to the staff. If I don't get a chance to be back here, but.
Well stated, Matt.
Agreed.
We know you'll be back.
Look at that, are any towns changing over still in November?
Changing a little bit.
If there's a change in office, does it happen in November?
Yes.
Yeah.
November.
Really?
The week after.
Rick.
Yeah, Sheila.
Rick. Rick, the town of Woodbury changes in December. My last day in office will be November 30th. And if I don't get a chance to say it, I have to say it's been an honor and a privilege to work with all of you over these 6.5+ years that I've been here. You're a wonderful, wonderful group of professionals. And I learned a lot. And I just want to thank you for the opportunity to serve on this board. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Barbara.
I'll echo the same comments.
So
You're gone too.
are we gonna have some type of,
I'm here next. I'm here next.
Of course.
We don't
We
change
will
till
arrange
December.
for some sort of get together,
an appropriate event?
an appropriate event.
Okay.
correct.
All right, we'll leave it at that. Anyone else have a topic?
Huh? He's not.
Yeah, he's out of the
That's what I
game.
heard.
All right, let's go to Thomaston for item 14.
Which is, make a motion to adjourn this wonderful body.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Motion carried.
Your last action.
Thank you all.
I know, that's kind of cool.